Okay, good. Welcome. This is kind of like an overview of what you need to know if you are playing the Italian, whether white or black. It's important to know some basics about what your objectives are, where to place certain pieces. So, the first obvious thing that white needs to know is that he's trying to put these two pawns on these two key squares. And if you can do that, this is kind of like your first prize. Let's call it plan A. And black obviously is busy making sure that you can't do this. So after e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, you get the basic idea, basic setup of the Italian. Now it really depends on how black responds, how play proceeds. There are three essentially main moves here. Bishop c5 is the most popular and you meet this a lot. Knight f6 is the more bolder continuation, and I'm going to recommend something very reserved for this. And bishop e7 is the Hungarian defense, which is very solid, but also you have to be prepared to play under a lot of pressure for a while if you are black playing this. Let's start with bishop e7. The easiest way to gain an advantage out of this is to just play d4 immediately, putting pressure on black's position. And here it's quite tricky to resolve. Taking gives white the vantage point and better control of the position, which really black doesn't want to do. So this is easy advantage. Not taking can result in a position which is very passive for a long time after, let's say, bishop takes, because this could be, there's a lot of ways white could put pressure. One of them is to play knight c3 with the idea of playing this knight to either b5 or in some cases d5, and it's very unpleasant. Perhaps another way is to kind of play it very directly by just playing bishop b5, and suddenly black has to do a lot. I mean, if you are being ambitious as black and you want to win, this is definitely not one of those lines to do that. But unless you're playing someone you think you can outplay, the Hungarian, I wouldn't. I've played it. I wouldn't really recommend it for someone who's trying to win. Knight f6 is a very exciting opening and can be very complex, especially if white chooses knight g5 as the continuation. But I think this can get very complex, and it becomes a race of who knows more theory. I think the best way to deal with knight f6 is to just play d3 and then go for what we were referring to as plan A. Here c3 and d4. You just have to be very careful. For instance, the quickest or the most immediate opportunity black gets to play knight a5 after dealing with protecting e5, he will. So let's say you play d3 and he goes bishop e7, castles, and he plays d6. Know that e5 is now protected, and the only thing protecting you is that if you play knight a5, if he plays knight a5, you can play bishop b5 check, and this might result in some compromise in the position. So when he plays d6, it might be very clever to play c3 immediately, because now let's say he goes here, you can play check, and if he goes there, here, and in this particular setup you've got this back, and with time you're going to be able to push in d4, and if you can get in this position, you're good, and his knight is stranded. But yeah, I think this long-term slow approach is very good against the two knights. And then lastly, the most popular setup you're going to meet here is black is bishop c5, and this I would really call it the main line in this position, and you must play c3 here. And the only way to really play for something is to go knight f6, and here you must play d4. So it used to be that after pawn takes, this is bishop b4 check. This used to be the real main line, and probably still the main line, but I think there's quite a lot of long forced lines that you would need to remember there. What I recommend here is after takes to play e5. e5 is very strong. It requires a lot of accuracy from black, and for instance in this position it's very important that black plays d5. Any other move is compromising. And here white has to play bishop b5. Taking on f6 is wrong. After take, rook g8, bishop g5, black goes bishop e7, and this position is much better for black. I wouldn't play this. So here after d5, white should play bishop b5, and the knight is en prey, so, and then takes. Now you can at least claim to have this wedge in this position, and it is very strong. After check, I recommend knight b d2, not bishop d2, but knight b d2. And the next move, white is going to castle. He can play the move queen a4. He will utilize definitely the weakness of c6, and actually white has got a slight pull in this position, and it's worth really playing towards. So without spending a lot of time, this is an essential overview of the Italian and what you're trying to do as white, and also basically what black is trying to do. Hope it really makes a big difference in your understanding of the games you're going to play.